Pokemon is a silly little game for kids where you catch adorable little creatures, have innocent battles with them, and eventually grow and establish wonderful bonds of friendship and trust with one another. So naturally, today I'm playing it completely incorrectly, ignoring all of its themes and driving myself to the brink of insanity. Here's the story of how I attempted a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Run and Bun. Run and Bun, named after the marathon you'll be running to escape Brawly's horrific mutant rabbit creature, is a hacked version of Pokemon Emerald primarily focused on being as difficult as it possibly can be. Featuring Pokemon and mechanics from the first 8 generations of Pokemon, this game has over 400 unique and inventive required battles, each becoming more testing than its predecessor. The game progresses in a completely unique way compared to Emerald, with Gyms 1 and 2 being swapped and Gyms 4 and 5 also being swapped. This drastically changes how you traverse the Hoenn region and makes for a relatively fresh experience, which is great because you'll be seeing the early sections of this game so often that it'll make you want to put the nearest fitness guru into a goddamn hydraulic press. I saved Professor Birch from getting rabies by picking Turtwig as my starter. With the ability Shell Armor to block critical hits and phenomenal defensive capabilities, I figure this little sap and I will accomplish great things and soar to the heavens! I don't have footage for attempt 1, but it went something like this. This game taught me very quickly that it wasn't pulling punches. But I am nothing if not tenacious. I at least wanted to see the 4th gym before I even considered stopping. Attempt 124 starts out well enough. I get my little parade of misfits all banded together, Turtwig, Surskit, Growlithe, Abra, Execute, and Bunnelby, and head to the first boss fight of the run, Team Aqua Grunt on Route 104. By using the Infinite Candy item, Run and Bun allows you to level to the nearest level cap immediately, and level caps are decided by the next boss trainer. This cap is hard-coded into the game, so you don't need to manage EXP or anything of the sort. The first level cap is 12 to match this Aqua Grunt's Crougunk. Before that though, there are a few notable battles to give attention to. Last Tiana has a Swirlix and a Spinda, both knowing the move Metronome. This fight is usually free of trouble, but this Spinda has been known to kill a few runs. There was no trouble here, but I did want to point out that this Swirlix used Bolt Beak. That was cool. Lady Cindy has a Minccino, a Jigglypuff, and a Phanpy, and serves as a cute little introduction to Run and Bun being queer positive. Every single Mon on this team has Attract, and Attract is changed to just always work, regardless of gender. While I love this change, a whole trainer themed around being too hot to beat up is just a little f***ed up. Now, time for the first boss trainer of the run. I lead Turtwig to wall his Carvanha and bait in Crougunk on the switch-in. I switch to Execute here, scoring a clean one-shot with Confusion and bringing in the Grunt's own pile of unborn tree children. Growlithe can easily defeat the eggs, netting a quick and easy victory. Next, the Grunt scampers off, so we have to chase him. So it's off to Dewford to deliver a letter to Steven and pick up a couple encounters on the way there. Blocking us from entering Granite Cave is Ruin Maniac Georgie, with the first of many very evil movesets in this game. Gluttony Munchlax with a Salac Berry running the moves Belly Drum and Headbutt. The idea here is that it'll click Belly Drum when you switch into your counter, get +1 speed from the berry that it eats early thanks to its ability, and then sweep your team if you don't outspeed. Plus, the lead Dwebble can set up sticky webs. Surskit nets a clean OHKO on the Dwebble though, so Munchie over there really isn't capable of threatening much. We're then off to Slateport to stop a crime, but along the way, I catch Tirtouga on Route 9. I had delayed our Granite Cave encounter, specifically hoping for this Pokemon here. Now with no immediate needs, I can do a tricky little thing in the cave later. The beach really isn't that interesting, but there is one trainer, Fisherman Bill, who has a team of 5 Stage 1 bugs with choice bands or choice specs. So that's silly. The next boss is a back-to-back with 2 Aqua Grunts in the museum. I lead Tirtouga and take out the Murkrow with Smackdown into Aqua Jet, bringing in Skrelp. Kadabra easily takes the silly little disease weed, and Grotle can take down the Tirtouga with no issues. Immediately after, without being able to heal or swap my party order, the next Grunt attacks with his lead Mareanie, which I can kill with the combined efforts of Ekans and Kadabra. Grotle easily KOs Frillish, and the Whirlipede is taken out by switching in Growlithe to lower its attack, then killing with Tirtouga. Finally, we're on to the section with Brawly. First, I head to Route 110, which has several electric-type encounters. If you can nab one with the ability Static, you can use that ability to get a whopping 50% chance at a Togedemaru in Granite Cave. But I just get a Shinx with Intimidate here. I also grab a rare candy by fighting Camper Gavi. Rare candies are unique in this game as they are one-time consumables that can raise your level above the current level cap. With this, I'm able to get Surskit to level 22 and evolve it into Masquerain. Now, since I can't use static to get Togedemaru, I go for an encounter on the first floor of Granite Cave since I already have a normal resistance. I'm rewarded with a Phanpy here, which is one of the most influential Pokemon in the game at this point. I'm pretty ecstatic about this, but first we have to beat Brawly. Brawly is one tough mother and has the unique ability to take years off my life every time I fight him. He leads Kubfu and I lead Execute. Execute is guaranteed to die to Sucker Punch, so I can safely predict it and use Sleep Powder. Sleep is only guaranteed to give one turn of sleep, so I use Psybeam once, then use Sleep Powder repeatedly until it wakes up to get another guaranteed turn of sleep, allowing me to take the KO damageless. This baits in Combo Skin, so I switch to Tirtouga on the Incinerate. With the ability Solid Rock to lessen the damage from super effective hits, I can safely take Double Kick and KO with Brine into Aqua Jet, bringing in Hitmontop. This Hitmontop sucks a lot. I pivot Masquerain on Mach Punch to lower its attack and then switch to Makuhita on Rock Slides. Makuhita can use Fake Out for free chip damage and then I can switch back into Masquerain on another Mach Punch. I repeat this until Hitmontop is at 47% HP. Run and Bun has a uniquely designed enemy AI, and one of its many quirks is that if you can kill something without a crit and you outspeed, it will click a priority move instead of its highest damage. So, once Hitmontop is safely within the range of Masquerain's Gust, I can KO, only taking an extra point of damage from Mach Punch. This brings in Scraggy, so I switch to Phanpy. I charm Scraggy down and then switch to Makuhita, who can now kill. Lopunny finally makes its first appearance and is revving up a boosted Retaliate to deal massive damage to anything it touches. However, Makuhita was in range of all of its moves here, so I switch Tirtouga in on a pretty nasty Drain Punch, which completely offsets the fight. I use Aqua Jet, proccing Lopunny's eject button and forcing it to switch before it can attack, bringing in Poliwhirl. I switch to Luxio, who can readily take it out with Nuzzle into Spark, but now Lopunny is back on the field, revving up another boosted Retaliate. I switch in Execute, taking massive damage, and then take a weaker Retaliate as I put it to sleep. From here, Masquerain can do the rest of the work on Lopunny, earning me a well-earned first gym badge. From one fresh hell into the next, we level our team to 25, getting some pivotal evolutions in Hariyama and Donphan, who gains the ability Battle Armor. Side note, this was a 50-50 to be either Battle Armor or Sturdy, and getting Sturdy could literally spell the death of the run here. Please. Please be Battle Armor. Please, 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 please be Battle Armor. Yes! Oh my god, let's go! I don't care that it's 0 HP, 0 defense, that's our fucking guy! It's a pretty straight shot to our next gym battle with Roxanne, as I trade my Growlithe for a Growlithe who's old and withering, grab a Shroomish with the ability Poison Heal, and a small autistic child to add to the team on the way there. The only noteworthy fight on the way is twins Gina and Mia, Run and Bun's first required double battle. The fight isn't particularly difficult, especially if you have ground and poison types. We make quick work of the twins and all of Roxanne's gym trainers, and then it's time to earn our second badge. Roxanne leads Bisharp and I lead Breloom. I take the KO with 2 Mach Punches, taking an Iron Head in retaliation for heavy damage. This brings in Lunatone, who I can wall pretty safely with Hariyama without risking any boosts from Ancient Power or without proccing the weakness policy. Without any boosts, a super effective stored power is doing shockingly little and I can safely Vital Throw to chip it down and then pay back to score a KO. This brings in Roxanne's big hitter, Zygarde. This thing has insane damage potential and outspeeds anything you can have at this point in the game. Luckily for me, I have one of the few consistent counters to it. I switch to Donphan, taking just under 25%, and then can Oko with priority Ice Shard. This brings in Aurorus, so I switch into Tirtouga on a Refrigerate boosted Body Slam. Then I switch in Breloom on a 50-50 between Earth Power and Discharge. I have a Cherry Berry in case I get parried here, but I don't. Then I outspeed and one-shot with Drain Punch, which I used one of the limited heart skills to teach. This brings in Solrock, so I switch back to Donphan and use Charm to get Solrock to -4 attack. With the lowered attack, Shell Armor Grotle can easily wall and recover with Mega Drain, and then can stay in and 1v1 the Caracosta in the back, netting a clean, deathless second gym badge. The next route is particularly easy, since it's technically optional to do it during Roxanne Split. I catch a couple new Mons, Roggenrola and a Petalil, and now we're back to the challenging stuff. Route 117 is packed to the brim with challenging trainers, all culminating in a final boss fight against this game's secondary rival, Shell. The first notable fight is Breeder Corgi, who has a team entirely consisting of dogs and can easily wipe your party and send you packing back to the truck. I lead Diggersby into the Arcanine and can KO with Bulldoze into Dig, curing a burn with a held Rossberry. I actually don't land the killing Dig roll, but since Arcanine knows that we could kill it, it goes for extreme speed, as Bulldoze makes it slower than me. Lucario switches in and I go to Donphan. I click Bulldoze, but Lucario Magnet Rises, which I kinda forgot about. It's time for plan B. I switch in Hariyama and Oko with Vital Throw, bringing in Corgi's dreaded and all-powerful Furfrou. Attract RNG here is too scary to risk, so I switch into Celio, who has the ability Oblivious, preventing attraction. This allows me to charm it down to -4 attack and switch to Breloom. I get crit and Stun Spore, and then Drain Punch it down, bringing my HP back to above half. Manic Trick comes in and I switch Donphan in on a Flamethrower. I stay in to kill with Bulldoze, but a second Flamethrower burns me, and I'm forced to steer again. I switch to Diggersby, thankfully dodging another burn and KO with Bulldoze. The next mon here is Boltund, who I can easily 1v1 with Luxray. The next few fights aren't too bad, but there's one more fight before the boss that requires attention. Senior and Junior Anna and Meg command a volatile team in a double battle, the primary gimmick being the use of the Lightning Rod ability to boost her own team's special attack. They lead Emolga, who only has Discharge and is holding the Metronome item to gradually increase its damage, and a Seaking with Lightning Rod. I lead Arbok and Floatzel to double target the Emolga with Poison Fang and Fake Out to prevent it from moving, while Arbok takes around 50% from Seaking's Hydro Pump. I then glare into Seaking while KOing Emolga with Ice Fang. This brings in Marowak due to the Switch AI and doubles being based on the same slot. So, since I kill Emolga, which is in slot 1, it reads slot 1 for Switch AI, bringing in Marowak on my Arbok and effectively trivializing the battle from here out, as the enemy can no longer gain any special attack boosts. I switch Arbok into Electric on the Bone Rush from Marowak, and ship Bone Man with Ice Fang from Floatzel. I then switch Electric out for Celio and Brick Break into Seaking. I use Icy Wind and Brick Break here, proccing Marowak's Citrus Berry. I use Icy Wind again and Aqua Jet with Floatzel to make sure I KO both mons on the same turn. And even though I crit the Seaking, it still lives because of my move choice. From here, I can KO both mons with an Icy Wind and preemptively switch to Hariyama. This allows me to Fake Out on Lantern and switch into Electric and win the fight the next turn. Yeah! Oh my god! The next boss fight is Shell, a unique character the game adds in based on one of the developer's friends, and she is fucking terrifying. Super Lux Scopeland's Togetic with high crit rate moves gives a very heightened chance of this thing critting you. Quick Draw, Quick Claw, Galarian Slowbro has effectively a 40% chance to go first, always, and Last Resort Silk Scarf Delcatty has insufferable damage potential. This fight has so many things that can go wrong, and you need to both play very well and get lucky in order to escape this fight unscathed. I lead pre-burned Hariyama into Lapras. Since my Hariyama has the ability Guts, Burn increases our attack here and gives us just enough damage output to KO with Fake Out into Vital Throw, taking only a Frost Breath in retaliation. Togekiss is in next, and I switch in Luxray on Draining Kiss, which thankfully doesn't crit. I Spark here, taking a Mystical Fire crit, but I need another turn. I Spark once again, barely dodging the Mystical Fire crit, bringing in Delcatty. I switch in Tirtuga on the Fake Out and begin protecting to try to stall out Last Resort. But Last Resort's damage is so high that I can't make it run out with Tirtuga alone. I switch into Boldore here and Rock Blast for a KO, but it only hits twice, and I take more damage on Boldore than I could afford to. I switch Breloom in on the incoming Rhydon, and KO with 2 Giga Drains, avoiding Stealth Rocks being set up, which is very important. Vespiquen comes out next, and from here, I'm in big trouble. Boldore lost too much HP to safely KO this, and I have to make a couple sacrifices to get rid of it. I first switch in Boldore on Dual Wing Beat, and then into Hariyama on Attack Order. I hit a Fake Out here, and then switch back into Boldore on another Dual Wing Beat, but I have to sack it now, as it baits a completely random move. I let it go down and switch into Luxray, who deals a massive chunk with Spark, before also dying to Vespiquen. Finally, I can KO with Donphan's Ice Shard, bringing in Slowbro. I two-shot with Bulldoze, luckily avoiding flinches from Zen Headbutt, and we clear the fight. With access to Mothel City, we can finally grab ourselves Evolution Stones, netting us some great additions to the team. With Hisuian Arcanine, Hisuian Lilligant, Exeggutor, and Eelektross added to the party, along with using a rare candy to get Torterra, it leaves us in a pretty fantastic position for this point in the game. I also capture a Tentacool right outside Mauville, which will immediately prove useful. Watson's Gym isn't too scary, but there are a couple important fights here that really test your knowledge of the game. Guitar's Kirk uses an electric terrain team with some scary held item and ability synergy, but we make it through mostly unscathed, minus a small misplay that almost cost us her wall raid. The rest of the fights on the way to Watson aren't particularly challenging, with Torterra and Donphan taking several kills. Watson himself, however, is a very tough fight. His team is filled to the brim with powerful and versatile threats, such as Rotom Fan, Mega Ampharos, and even a Zeraora. Planning this fight took a bit of time, but I walked into it fairly confidently. I lead Floatzel into Magnezone and immediately click Fake Out. This breaks sturdy and guarantees that I never have to worry about Custap Berry giving it priority explosion at low HP. I then switch Floatzel out for Torterra on the immunity to Discharge, and outspeed and KO with a Stomping Tantrum. Lantern comes out, so I switch Tentacruel on a guaranteed Ice Beam. I stay in here predicting a Thunder Wave. I get the prediction right, getting a Toxic off for virtually free. Now I can safely pivot between Torterra and Tentacruel, only taking weak Ice Beams until it dies to Toxic Poison. I KO with Tentacruel out, bringing in Rotom Fan. I pivot through Torterra on the guaranteed Discharge, and then into Arcanine on Air Slash. Arcanine gets hit with a very high roll from Discharge, and I get a low roll from Rock Slide. Rotom is in range to Extreme Speed, but there are 4 rolls that don't KO. Ultimately, I choose not to risk the range and pivot Torterra into Floatzel and KO with Fake Out into Liquidation, bringing in Zeraora. Unfortunately, Zeraora has multiple moves that can kill here, meaning I can't guarantee what it clicks on this turn. I ponder for a bit, but ultimately decide that I need to sacrifice Floatzel to get through safely. What follows is obnoxious. I need to stall Zeraora out of Plasma Fist, so I do this by switching between Masquerain and Torterra repeatedly. It eventually runs out, and Masquerain can safely take the KO. Eelektross is up next, so I bring an Exeggutor to answer it, KOing with a few Energy Balls. Mega Ampharos is out last, and I have to make a risk here. It sees a kill with both Discharge and Dragon Breath, and I have no way to safely pivot around it. I swap to Torterra on a Discharge, thankfully, and can safely KO with 2 Stomping Tantrums, earning my 3rd badge. The new level cap of 38 gives us a few very helpful evolutions in Hatterene, Alakazam, and Caracosta. Next up is Cycling Road, which is now mandatory in order to get back to Petalburg. The fights here really start ramping up the difficulty, and every single battle needs to be meticulously planned. Though, there is one fight I specifically want to mention here. Triathlete Jasmine leads a Galarian Rapidash, and has a Choice Band Sirfetch'd and a Zoroark in the back. This fight is a good test of your knowledge of the Switch AI, as it will always look like Sirfetch'd is being set out. Or so was the theory. In actuality, a glitch in the way this game was made makes the sprite of an illusioned Pokemon do this, making it very easy to tell where the Zoroark is and making this fight deceptively easy. Oh wait, was the little blinking the indicator that it was Zoroark? Wait, really? No way! That's so funny! Oh my god, that's awesome! Next up, however, is the hardest fight so far by a long shot. The rival fight on Cycling Road is one of the most intimidating fights I have ever had to prep for. With permanent psychic terrain set by the lead Indeedee, you can't use any priority moves, and all psychic damage is boosted, most notably the damage of Expanding Force. Genuinely? Fuck this fight. I lead Eelektross into Indeedee, repeatedly using Brick Break to counter it setting screens. I needed to set screens up every turn here, as Expanding Force would alter the switch order. I managed to get lucky enough to lock it into setting screens and repeatedly tearing them down to bring in Blaziken. With the ability Speed Boost, this thing is nearly impossible to KO without some really crazy shit. I switch in Arbok on Close Combat, taking away its White Herb with Intimidate and forcing the Close Combat defense drops to stay up. Close Combat crits me here, making Arbok's HP significantly lower than I wanted it to be this turn and baiting random move. I have to switch in Octillery as a sacrifice so I can safely bring in Donphan. I used a Heart Scale on Donphan before this fight to bring my HP IV to 31, allowing me to always survive Overheat and retaliate with a massive Bulldoze to KO. Kingdra is in next, and I use Exeggutor to put it to sleep after getting hit with a Scale Shot, and take it out the next turn with Woodhammer. Serena comes in, and I switch in Arbok for an Intimidate, but Arbok dies to a critical hit from the final hit of Triple Axle. I switch in Arcanine to hit a couple Fire Fangs to KO, bringing in Weavile. I switch Eelektross in back on the low kick, and then Weavile gets a 5-hit Icicle Spear as I Brick Break to proc Focus Sash. Because of that 5-hit there, however, I no longer have a consistent way through the fight. Without priority, I can't revenge KO with Donphan, and nothing lives a hit from this thing. The only out is if Icicle Spear were to hit twice on Donphan. I play for it. I sacrifice the Electros to get into Donphan, and then this happens. We have exactly one out. Stop. Oh my god, wait, it stopped! Wait, it actually got the 2-hit! Okay, wait, we're still not out. From here, Arcanine can take out Alcremie slowly but surely, and I somehow managed to win this impossibly difficult battle. We actually... Oh my fucking god! Holy shit! Oh my god! The run is starting to bleed now, but I keep pushing through towards Norman. This next section of the game is brutal. Every single fight requires careful planning, and one wrong move can easily snowball into disaster. I have to play incredibly carefully here. The first especially notable fight is a terrifying double battle centered around Tailwind. Black Belt Rhett and guitarist Marcos lead Crobat and Crabominable. Crobat is insufferably fast and will set up Tailwind unless it sees a KO. So I lead Carracosta and Alakazam, with Carracosta pre-damaged to 1 HP, thus always baiting attacks into itself from both sides. I have Carracosta protect and launch a massive Psyshock into the Crobat with Alakazam, KOing in one hit. Noivern comes out, and this also has Tailwind. I switch Carracosta in for Donphan and Psyshock into Noivern for big damage. Donphan takes a Flamethrower in a close combat, and then I Ice Shard to KO Noivern with priority and Psyshock to KO Crabominable. Poliwrath comes in next, but the rest of the fight is free without Tailwind being up. I Ice Shard and Psyshock again to KO, and then one-shot Heracross with a final Psyshock. After a few more trainers who don't pose much of a threat, I catch my one encounter for the split in a new area, Altering Cave, being a Riolu. And then... Zero speed, 9 attack. Wait. Huh? What? How did that happen? Oh no. How did that happen? Rewind. Can I rewind over that? I can't rewind it. Oops. We managed to recover the save, but the save was back right after I had beat the rival on Cycling Road. So I play all the way back to where we were and catch another Riolu. Twins Amy and Liv are the next notable battle, with an incredibly challenging double battle centered around sleep and the ability Unnerve, which prevents you from eating berries. They lead Gengar and Corviknight into my Carracosta and Arcanine. Carracosta is pre-damaged to 1 HP again to bait KOs consistently from both slots, and Arcanine is poisoned. This allows me to protect Carracosta while Arcanine takes around 70% with Flamethrower from Corviknight, safely avoiding the chance of being put to sleep or screens going up. I then switch Carracosta out for Diggersby, while Arcanine takes the Corviknight out with a second Flamethrower baiting in Hypno. Hypno can only deal damage to sleeping Pokemon, so we start targeting the Gengar fairly safely, as it can't really do much to Diggersby. I use Super Fang with Diggersby and switch into Tentacruel. Since nothing on the field has Unnerve, I can use Knockoff with Tentacruel this turn to bring Gengar down to low HP. I do end the turn being asleep, which allows me to switch into Lucario and Super Fang the Hypno for another turn of safe switching. Now I can Bullet Punch to KO Gengar and get Hypno to low HP. Jinx comes in next, which gives me the chance to switch into Arcanine and Bullet Punch Jinx. Also, Hypno missed 2 Dark Voids in a row, which was very funny. Breloom and Lucario can easily clean up the fight from there. We're finally back to Petalburg, and that means it's time for Norman's gym. I go into the accuracy room first to fight Cool Trainer Mary. The fight starts off simply enough. I use Donphan's high horsepower into her Doublade for a clean 2-shot, bringing in Golurk, who I also 2-shot with Bulldoze into high horsepower. And here is where things go very very wrong. I switched Donphan out into Torterra expecting Dynamic Punch from Machamp, but it clicks Bulk Up. Now it does so much damage that I can't out-heal with Giga Drain, and I'm in a really awful spot. I switch an Exeggutor on a Mega Kick, which does an absolutely ludicrous amount of damage, keeping me in range of another hit even after my Oran Berry. I have to sacrifice Exeggutor here, but my position is still horrible. I switch into Caracosta, needing to live a Dynamic Punch and hit through Confusion, as I went Oran instead of Persim. I hit myself with Confusion, and the situation looks virtually unwinnable. I switch into Lilligant, who barely lives the hit, and does some chip damage with Leaf Blade before it dies. From here, Psybeam manages to KO Machamp, and Lycanroc comes out. I KO with Donphan, but the losses here really screwed me over for Norman, as Lilligant was going to be immensely useful in the fight. I get through the rest of the gym without issue, but my confidence for Norman is at an all-time low. I spend a little over an hour planning for Norman and come up with a strat that may work assuming I read the AI correctly. He leads Porygon 2 and I lead Tentacruel. My entire strategy hinges on Porygon clicking Thunder Wave this turn. If I misread the AI here, I very likely won't be able to turn the fight around. It Thunder Waves and I get off a Toxic. I predict a second Thunder Wave since I cured my paralysis with a held Cherry Berry, but it seems I misunderstood status AI in this game, and Torterra takes a massive chunk of damage from Tri-Attack. I switch back to Tentacruel on an Ice Beam, and I click Knock Off to remove the Eviolite, and then Porygon goes for Thunder Wave. This position is horrible. I managed to KO Porygon bringing in Diggersby. The HP I lost on Torterra now makes this Diggersby infinitely more challenging, as I have to switch straight into Torterra, who is still in range even after the Citrus Berry. And from here, we basically can't win. I try to switch in Breloom, who gets paralyzed by Body Slam. I barely live a Quick Attack and do 50% with Mach Punch. Breloom goes down the next turn, and I no longer have a safe way to beat this absolute menace of a Pokemon. I use Psyshock with Hatterene to bring it to low HP, and try to pivot through Torterra on another Earthquake, but it just uses Body Slam, taking another KO. I can manage to kill Diggersby from here with Lucario, but now Meloetta takes the field, and there's virtually no way I can defeat it. I try to predict close combat and switch into Hatterene, but it just kills with Relic Song, and now I can't win the fight. All of my options are gone. It was a valiant effort, but alas, Meloetta sweeps the remainder of my team, ending the run. This game is hard. Easily the most challenging Pokemon game I've ever faced, and I have no intention of backing down. This game is like an addiction, with every loss pulling me right back in. But it is very draining. So I'm taking a break from it currently to clear my mind, but rest assured, I will be back. And I will not let Run and Bun defeat me. I have never wanted to beat a game more than I have with this one, and when I want something, I pull out all the stops to get it. So, stick around for this journey with me by subscribing to the channel and following me on Twitch, where I do hard Nuzlocke and challenge runs 6 days a week. And leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Your feedback means everything to me, so let me know if there's anything I should change for next time in the comments below, and I will see you guys later. Thank you very much for coming on this journey with me.